Welcome everyone. This is the Relab webinar. My name's Bridget. I'm the Growth and Marketing Manager here, and I'm really excited to have Cristina Casares from Bailey's with us today. So a bit of background on Cristina. She's a residential real estate agent focusing in the Ponsonby area and renowned for her unique and effective marketing strategies. So I'm excited to have Cristina on today because, in my personal opinion, Cristina's not just a salesperson, she's a storyteller, a digital marketing whiz, a trusted advisor who understands her market deeply and is also really values-driven in her approach. So with that in mind, we've picked off a few topics to cover this session. So we're going to go through new trends in real estate marketing, digital tools to enhance client engagement, and crafting a brand story in a competitive market. So I guess the intention of this webinar is for anyone that's just starting out, but also experienced real estate agents. We think you'll get value out of it. Feel free to participate in the chat. We really encourage active engagement. We're going to run the session for about 30 minutes and we'll have time for questions and answers after that. So I'm excited to start. Welcome, Cristina. Could you just, I know that was a big intro, but I would just love you to introduce yourself in your own words and why it is you love doing what you do.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Cristina Casares. I'm originally from Argentina, but I've been in New Zealand 22 years. I used to work before in the film industry, and I was a 3D animation and VFX producer. But the last 7.5 years, I decided to start in real estate. It was the change in career was more, not because I didn't like animation, but animation pretty much was like, like I didn't even know what day it was, it was quite hard because it was really, really, really long hours in the office and production and deadlines and stuff, but it was long hours in the office and it was quite hard on the kids. So I wanted to have something that was more flexible hours. What I love about real estate is not that you have your work and your personal is kind of a new sort of, is your lifestyle. So it's all together. There's no, kind of boundaries, which is really good. And I love it. So, and it has given me the flexibility to be, my own boss and have that flexibility that if I had to go and pick up the kids from school, I could organize all my meetings and my stuff around it, and I could be there. Now my kids are like 22 and 23, so they're a bit big.
Just a little bit big.
Lots of freedom. But yeah, no, I love it because it's kind of more of a different lifestyle, pretty much.
Yeah, it's a really unique journey that you've had coming from that animation gaming background to real estate. And I can see some of that maybe manifests in the way that you present yourself online. How has that blend of creativity and that unique journey kind of shaped how you portray yourself in real estate today?
Well, I think, I don't think of it as just coming because I come from like a animation, which like TV series and pretty much stories and storytelling, where one of the things that I was really passionate about then when I work in the film industry was telling stories that you connect with the audience, and the audience would, kind of connect with you. And connecting means like when they're watching something, they would actually be interested, or they would laugh, or they would cry, or you make them think or something. And I think in life in general, it's about connecting with people, so I think with real estate, it's pretty much the same, and you want to connect people with and fall in love with properties. And I want to be that person to tell the story, and connect them. Yeah.
How do you incorporate that storytelling element into your property listings and generate that sense of connection?
Well, for me, when I go and see a property, every single property has its charm, it has its story, it's the location, it's the features, so many different things. And it's interesting because every time I do a video or I'm going to do everything, I never really fully prepare like a script or anything. It's just come directly kind of from what I feel of, how what are the things that I love about that property, and what are the things that I think people are going to love about that property. And every property always have things that people, there's always things that buyers would find that doesn't work for them, or it's missing this, or it's missing that. But I always like to also turn that into positives, because they can either add that value themselves, or actually, if it did have that, then it would be in a budget that they couldn't afford, for example. But going back to the property and the story, I go in, and view a property, and when I get the listing, and I actually, every property, as I was saying, has a story to tell, and I just tell that story that I think that is what's going to connect the buyers. Yeah.
And when you're telling that story, what is the best mechanism to get that story out to everyone? Like, what tools are you using?
Well, of course, there's many different ones, but it's how you take the photos and tell I do work with a scriptwriter, and it's quite easy to say, oh, it's so many bedrooms, this and that, but how are you going to sell it? Is it going to be, a house with potential for a family, for a couple? You have to know what is the target audience for that, and talk to them, and what are they looking for, and if that's going to match, and why is it going to be really good for them. And that's sort of, so you all the time need to put yourself also in the feed of the audience and what they're looking for, and then kind of, says, well, this is it, I found it for you. And because of it has this and this and this, just don't look any further. This is yeah. And then you also need to, we can talk about that later, but it's not only telling that, well, if you ask me, telling, I tell the story. So, it's like how you take the photos, and how, you do the script and the title, and then I do the videos as well. I never really prepare for the videos. Some agents, sometimes they send their assistant to do all the photos and the video, but I actually sort of like to be there, because while the photographer is doing it, and I'm just thinking, and I'm says, well, what are we going to do? And then with the video, the same thing. And then I said, okay, let's do this and let's do that. And then I used to talk throughout the whole video. I don't do that anymore. I just do a little bit. And I just say a little snapshot of the really good things of the house, because you want the video to be sort of like a little teaser to get people to come to the house. And once they're in the house, then they can, once they have a look, hopefully fall in love and go from there.
Yeah, I love how you touched on it's like matching it up with that potential buyer intent and speaking to the end customer.
Yeah.
Do you have is that just skills that you've developed over time, or do you have any tips on how to put yourself in the shoes of others?
I think it's pretty much sort of trying to, I don't know how to say, but it's really sort of, the word is actually caring. So if you really care for, the audience and the buyers and the vendors out there, then you would actually, here to attract the buyers, you would actually sort of imagine, okay, what are those buyers looking for, and then, like, if this house, the target audience is a specific audience, how do you want to talk to them? What are they looking for, So, for example, first home buyers usually want to start to go into areas that are hard for them to get in. Sometimes they're going to start a family, and you think about all those things, and you see, well, potentially they're going to buy something that is not fully done up, but it's that they can put the value and slowly kind of, grow in the property and with the family. So you just have to think about each sort of buyer and talk to them, Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So you've got your storytelling, you've got your story, and you've produced it. What is the best channels to push it out so that you get the most coverage?
Well, it's interesting because, of course, and I think since COVID, a lot of people are very digital and that they like to see everything digital. But we have what I call all the portals. So you have the trade, meaning and homes and real estate, one roof, etc., etc. But then you have, all of the social media, which is really powerful. And when it comes to social media, it's interesting because, and this comes in general with marketing, when you're going to spend money to market something, you have to make sure that it's going to reach the right audience. And a lot of social media at the moment is just being boosted with like radios, but they really need to design what the target audience is and actually try to target those people, because nowadays the World Wide Web knows so much about each individual. So why not kind of target what they're looking for? And so when people are browsing on the phone, they would have relevant information. So you have to use what we call those algorithms that know so much about people to target the right people. So there isn't, the truth is, there isn't really a lot of people or companies that are doing it right, and it's not easy. I have tried to study myself quite a lot to understand what's behind it, because that's the other thing you need to understand to be able to, if you're going to hire someone to do it, you should be able to know what to tell them to do, so then it works, Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a changing thing, so we need to constantly be ahead and be learning and be changing, because, otherwise you spend all this money in marketing and it's sort of doesn't go anywhere. You don't attract anyone,
Yeah. It can be overwhelming sometimes sitting on the other side of it. There's so much being pushed through to your feed that being targeted, and having something that's really engaging and compelling is just critical, isn't it?
But the other one that is the most sort of, I would say, powerful one is every time somebody comes to your open home, you're meeting people all the time. That is all your buyers right there. So you need to be able to have a good database where they're qualified properly. So when you have a property, you can identify them very quickly, and then you can contact them, because sometimes buyers can get a bit overwhelmed, and they, and if you build trust with them and you call them and you said, this property just came up, I think you're going to love it because of this and this and that, they're really going to trust you and they're going to go to that. And now that there's more listings coming to the market, why are they going to choose that one instead of that one? So you also have to build that relationship with the buyers as well. So it's really important to have a good database and a good sort of qualifying them really well, so then you know who to talk to. Because also the database, as much as there's a lot of things that are automatic out there with the newsletters and this and that, it's actually quite important when there's a property and you're going to send it to your database to really have to send it, that it's going to, whatever they're going to receive from you is going to be relevant for what they're looking for. Otherwise they get frustrated, So that's quite important to not just send emails to everybody, but just relevant. Or even when you call them or text them or whatever, communication has to be relevant, Yeah.
How do you organize your thoughts and your notes around that, and taking into account that you've talked to individuals, you've really understood what they want? How do you do that at mass with such a large database?
Every time I actually put a note in their profile, then basically you just need to be able to have filters that then you can find them quite quickly if they're looking for this and that, and this is the budget in this area. So just put all those filters. So when you need to find them, it's quite easy to find. Yeah. And then you can talk to them. Because I have, I don't know, quite a big database of more than 5,000 at least active that get the newsletter and stuff. But, I meet people every single day. So it's quite important that when a property comes up or something, that I can find them, and only, kind of from the 5,000, usually if you do it properly, you would only have like 20. So 20 something sort of more, easy to handle and call them and text them and stuff. But you get 100 or 1,000 people, and then they don't get relevant information, Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of information to retain, isn't there, to be personalized in today's environment. What's your thoughts on, because we've talked on Facebook and being targeted, what's your thoughts on consistency through those platforms, and how do you achieve it regularly? Because you are quite active on those social channels and you're always coming up with new content, and I think that can be a challenge, even for me as a marketer at Relab.
I actually don't really think I do enough, to be honest. I'm quite busy, so sometimes if I'm going, so I have of course a few little systems that I do consistently. When there's a new listing, I put it live. When I sold one, I do this reel. So some of them would automatically happen, but I write a little blurb and stuff. But some other ones are like the casual ones when I have events or things like that, and it's actually quite time consuming, and sometimes it feels even rude. You're coming to an event and say, "Hey, sorry everyone," and you just taking a video and doing this, but it's actually quite nice because you want people that are following you to just get to know you more as a person, and not just your properties and what you sold. They want to connect with you as a person, so it's quite good to take a time and share a little bit of that. And I should share more. I have to be honest, I feel like I never share enough, but I'm doing kind of a little bit of that. And then the other one is the truth is, before, like last year and the previous years, I wasn't doing the consistent, but this year I said, okay, I'm going to do this consistent of the market update. And at the beginning, you need to find the time and think about what you're going to say and stuff, and slowly, because now I'm doing it every week, it's becoming kind of quicker and more natural, and I just, every week I say something different depending on what happened in the week, So you just have to sort of try to schedule it into your calendar and just do it. Sometimes I'm like, oh shit, the other day I took the day off and we went away on Friday. I was just like, I don't have any work clothes, and so you just find something tidy and a little background, and it's just like, and it's seriously 10 minutes to do it. It's not too hard.
It's great that you touched on the market updates, because I wanted to ask you about that. It's such a good, source of content. Where do you get your updates from, and what are good resources that you use to be able to educate buyers and sellers?
Well, throughout the week, as I am doing the vendor reports, and of course, just not even just doing the vendor reports, you just have to be informed. So you're constantly knowing what's sold or how many listings, but I do follow, of course, Tony Alexander, and different economists and different, the area and Z reports. That actually Tony is the one that does most of them, but there's other ones that sometimes are released by banks and stuff like that. So you just have, if you constantly inform what is relevant to, that you want to inform your followers. Because at the end of the day, what I realize is, the reason I started doing the market updates is because followers, okay, they want to know a little bit about you. They know about your listings and the sold, but they want to know more. It's, you need to keep them informed and what's happening right there, in the street, not just like everybody can read the news and stuff, but from what the news says and what is actually happening, in the street is a bit different,
Yeah. And sometimes just communicating what that news actually means for buyers and sellers can be helpful too, that translation.
Yeah.
So moving now on to, not to give away your deepest, darkest secrets on success, but do you have any practical tips that you would give to real estate agents that are just starting out? Like, where would be the best place for them to focus in terms of digital marketing?
So one of the things, with digital marketing is, it's really simple. It's all there. It's either Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. There's also, you just can get really, branch out and also do Twitter, and now there's Threads, and then Snapchat. It's just like so much, you know.
Yeah, it is.
And of course, there's LinkedIn, you know. But you need to sort of learn each of the different mediums because they're all a little bit different. Like things that I put in Instagram and Facebook, potentially I wouldn't put in LinkedIn, you know. Some agents look LinkedIn to put like the new listings, and people don't like that because LinkedIn is more professional, is more about sharing kind of stories and statistics and data, what's happening with the market. They don't want to know about new listings, you know. So you need to know. And so my LinkedIn is something that I don't have quite, like I have it a little bit abandoned, I have to say. But it's quite simple. You just choose, okay, this is what I'm going to do with, like, I mean, these are the social media channels I'm going to use, and try to do a little plan and try to be consistent. Also, you know, each of them, like you have the story, you have the reel, you have the post. It's just like so many different things. So you have to sort of make a little plan, you know, to and just do it. There's not really, you know, much more. It's all there.
Yeah.
But it's just having also the confidence to do it, you know. Sometimes just do the first one, and oh my god, if I go and look at my first videos that I did for real estate, I go, oh my god, I hope I can delete them and nobody can see them. They're terrible. But anyway, you know, it's part of part of how it is. So just do it. Like my first market update, maybe it took me maybe half an hour. You know, now I can do them in 5 or 10 minutes, you know. Yeah.
That's great. And quite often when you record yourself, you're actually never as bad as what you think you are.
Oh, yeah, that's true. It's true that I'm really, really critical, you know, and sometimes I get my PA to film me, or sometimes I get my kids, and my kids are 22 and 23. My daughter, who's in social media, she's studied marketing and stuff. She just tells me off, and she's like, no, you can't say that. Oh, Mom, stop moving all your hands. And I'm like, okay, this is me, you know.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you have to be yourself, you know.
Yeah. Good advice. And I'm conscious we'll be wrapping up soon, but I really want to talk to you around how you measure success.
Okay, well, that's actually quite a good question.
Okay.
It's quite interesting because I'm not going to tell address or date or the exact details, but I sold a property recently, and you know, everybody were like, yay, I sold it and stuff. But it was interesting because there was a buyer that has been looking at it for like so long, and did all the building reports and loved the house so much. And then another guy that came like a few days before saw it, boom, sold it. And I just had this feeling that it was just like, you know, seriously, it sort of broke my heart for that buyer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We wanted. So it's interesting because for me, success is I want everybody to be happy. You know, it's not like, oh, I sold something, I'm looking at the commission. I don't really, you know, it's not, for me, success is when everybody's happy. And of course, there was a really happy buyer and a really happy vendor and stuff, but I just was like, oh no, she couldn't buy it, you know. So anyway, so success is pretty much, you know, when there's a big smile in the vendors and buyers at the end of the transaction. Yeah.
Oh, that's really nice.
And that makes me smile.
It ties back into that caring element, and it actually like shows through that storytelling process.
Yeah.
We've actually got a wee question from Knight. He's asking if you've got any specific advice for Instagram.
Okay. Advice for Instagram. Well, there's so much. So one of the things, you know, when I just try to make what it's called the grid look really nice, like a little bit of a mix of you and your listings and maybe something, just look at the grid, because somebody's going to search you. That is like a little gallery of your listings, of who you are, but so that's actually, so some of my reels, for example, when I put reels, I actually hide them from the grid, so I don't have everything in the main grid. Then the other thing is, what I know is Instagram, and this I learned, you have to keep learning this, because they change their rules all the time, but they quite like the reels, but the reels have to be, the reels pretty much you need to grab somebody in the first 4 seconds, because the way that it works, they flip really quickly, and sometimes that is quite hard. But if you do content that people are looking at, or they're sharing and stuff, then Instagram is going to like your profile and it's going to show more of your stuff. I don't know, things that I learned, because especially my daughter, that she social media marketing. So I always say, oh, just have a moment, just tell me what do I do with this reel? Yeah. So
that's so handy.
Yeah. She was the one that said you need to put captions, because sometimes people are watching it without the audio. So you have to put the captions and things like that. And then I learned my first reel was terrible, because I put the captions, and then when you put the reel, then all your name and there's other details that are on top of it. So you need to check the reels, and you have to put the text where it's not going to be covered by other text that are on top and at the bottom as well. And then they have to be really short, like 30 seconds, or I try not to do them too long, because people, there's so much out there that there's so much content, they get overwhelmed. So you need to grab them, tell them. Sometimes I want to say too much, and my assistant that is also young, she's like, no, Chris, just make it. Nobody wants to know about all that. Yeah.
Sounds like you've got a good support crew around you.
I know. Well, that's the thing. We can't be good doing everything. So we need to always ask, always, research who's really good doing this, and just research, get inspired, and get out of your comfort zone. Just do it. Yeah.
I love that. And just a bonus question: do you use any video editing software?
Not much, to be honest, but one that my daughter told me, it's called, I'll tell you in a second, CapCut.
CapCut, okay.
That's for the reels and for social media.
Yeah, it's quite cool tools out there now.
Yeah, and it's quite good, because, sometimes when you use editing tools, they put their branding kind of like a watermark, and you don't want that. And CapCut just puts their logo at the end. But then once you save a video on your phone, then you can actually edit it and just remove it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate you coming on and sharing the insights that you have.
Yeah, no problem. And everyone, I'm not sure how many people are there watching, and probably there will be other people watching afterwards. Feel free to contact me, text me, call me if you want to grab a coffee. I'm always happy to give you tips or have a chat.
That's awesome. Thank you so much
for inviting me, and all the best to everyone out there.
Yeah, and thanks guys. It was great to have everyone tune in. Got some thank you messages coming through now.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Cool. See you guys. Bye.
Bye.